That's really what CCS brought: stronger systems, stronger connection between company processes and associates.
We see at some customer moving to PremiumFill solution help them to reduce the reject rate during the final inspection and thus lower the associated cost, and ultimately has improved also the drug availability on the market.
Hi everyone, how are you? I'm Nicolas with Expert Insights, Drug Development and Delivery, and I am here today with Nicolas, the Senior Director of Global Quality for Aptar Pharma, and Audrey Chardonnet, who is the Vice President of Global Market and Development for the Injectables Division at Aptar Pharma. Today, we're going to talk about Contamination Control Strategy, or CCS as it's referred to in the industry. Obviously, this has become a central topic across sterile manufacturing ever since Annex 1 has come into force. And today, the key question is really going to be how those expectations are applied in day-to-day operations, especially for suppliers such as Aptar Pharma and its injectable division, which provide elastomeric closure solutions for drug development companies and products. So let's look at what CCS means inside Aptar Pharma, how that can translate into value for its pharma customers. So first question is, guys, what did the introduction of CCS really mean for Aptar Pharma?
We saw already the new regulation as an opportunity to reset. So start from a clean slate and bring all associates together behind a shared approach. We're building on a strong existing baseline. So CCS did not bring an entirely new foundation. I would rather say it gave us the opportunity to bring a fresh perspective and unlock new avenues to connect those elements in a more structured way and look at them to demonstrate them consistently across the operation. That's really what CCS brought: stronger systems, stronger connection between company processes and associates.
Okay, great. So how did CCS change the way Aptar Pharma approaches contamination control in practice?
In practice, CCS prompts Aptar Pharma to look those more systematically at how contamination control is maintained in operation, especially where established practices, legacy flows, aging equipment needs to be challenged against today's expectation and our new ambition, and see if they were still adapted, whether the reason behind each control was clear and whether practices were applied consistently across areas. For example, equipment may still be robust, while the material transfer or cleaning routing may be well established. Both may need to be re-examined to confirm that the rationale is clear, documented, and adapted. That is where CCS helped Aptar Pharma by connecting those topics, challenging them, and making them easier to justify across operation.
Amazing. So what are some examples of how CCS has strengthened your operations?
One good example is the way Aptar Pharma moved from observation to more structured action, with dedicated program leadership, coordinated work stream, executive level governance, and onboarding everyone, every single employee with clear objective. It also changed the way teams looked at everyday operation signals: a deviation, a change control, an environmental monitoring trend, a recurring cleaning question, or a component handling practice becomes part of a wider contamination control picture. CCS helped Aptar Pharma ask whether the same logic was applied across areas, whether weak signals were escalated early enough, and whether corrective action were linked back to the control strategy. In practice, it turned existing controls into more connected, visible, and challengeable systems.
Strategy is great in theory, but what role do the people and routines play in making CCS effective in its practice for Aptar?
People plays a critical role. It depends on the collective commitment, I would say, of every function across the organization. It starts with the moment someone enters the facilities and extends to how operator access the control area, how interventions are performed on the line, how components are transferred. In the end, people and routines are where contamination control strategy is either strengthened or weakened in the day-to-day operations.
So, Audrey, I'm going to direct this question at you. How does a mature CCS ultimately translate into value for customers?
Thanks, Amy, for the question. I would say that this is where the discussion, becomes very practical. Because for the sterile drug manufacturers, the contamination control is not abstract. It directly impacts their product quality, the sterility assurance, the supply of continuity, and ultimately the patient safety. So when they choose a partner for injectable components, they will need to be confident that the solution will not meet only the specification, but also integrate seamlessly into their process and support their contamination control strategy. So at Aptar Pharma, that value becomes concrete through several solutions. To name a few, PremiumFill, ready-to-use gamma, and RTP bags. The objective is really to help reduce the contamination risk at different points of the sterile manufacturing process, whether by improving the component cleanliness, reducing the handling, supporting the sterility at the point, the time of use, and making the aseptic transfer easier on the filling line. If we take, for example, PremiumFill solution, its value comes really from a tightened specification supported by the way the product is manufactured, handled, and released. Contamination risk reduction comes through cleaner manufacturing conditions, automated handling when relevant, metal detection before packaging, for example, and more stringent release controls. So together, this element will provide a stronger starting point for the customer contamination control strategy. Some customers moving to PremiumFill solution help them to reduce the reject rate during the final inspection and thus lower the associated cost, and ultimately as improve also the drug availability on the market. So that's really, a useful example on how the contamination control can create value beyond the compliance by supporting more reliable inspection outcomes and a smoother industrialization. Then I was speaking about, ready-to-use and RTP bags, such as reducing the internal sterilization step, but also limiting the direct human contact with the sterile elastomeric component, and facilitating the aseptic transfer into the filling environment, including the RABs and isolator setting, for example. Aptar Pharma will contribute more than the component itself. Our control, the evidence, and the release approach need to fit with the customer CCS, but because they will ultimately have to demonstrate the control across all the full process.
Huge, huge benefit. So looking ahead, what do you see evolving in next contamination control for sterile manufacturing? What's the next thing that's going to come up?
The direction is very clear. It's even stronger execution, greater visibility, and more robust evidence. CCS is now, I would say, very firmly embedded in the regulatory landscape, and expectations continue to rise. It also means making smarter use of data, environmental monitoring trends, deviation, observation from cleaning activity, and day-to-day process experience can help teams detect weak signals. That's really how contamination control moves from being a compliance requirement to become part of how the organization operates every day.
If we look also at the overall market trends and the customer side, I think the expectations are rising rapidly, and they are driven by the fact that they are looking for, there is stricter regulatory framework, the Annex 1, the USP 382. There is an increased biologic complexity, and also, as mentioned by Nicolas, a stronger focus on the end-to-end risk control. So in that context, yes, I do think that the expectation will continue to move toward closer integration between the supplier control and the customer CCS. And the customer will want to understand, the component they receive, along with the process, the evidence, and the rationale behind it. So this is a trend that we are seeing more and more. And in that sense, the supplier like Aptar Pharma increasingly become part of the customer contamination control ecosystem. And really our role is really to provide the solution, the evidence that help the customer demonstrate the control across all the sterile manufacturing chain.
Wow, that was a lot of really great information. You have provided tremendous insights for us on the practical side of how CCS and at Aptar Pharma, really how you connect outstanding operational expertise with both evidence, discipline, and product solutions. You guys obviously support customer confidence in sterile manufacturing. And this has been really educational for us. We really hope that you have enjoyed being here. We know we've enjoyed it. So we hope to have you guys back soon with more information. Thank you guys so much.